Hi everybody, welcome to my fourth video in my CBD oil series, Hype, Harm, or Heck Yeah. Now, I've provided an introduction to CBD oil, I've stated some of its precautions, I've reviewed the legal restrictions and regulations of cannabis and marijuana, and I've begun a review of its medical indications and some specific uses for CBD oil. But right now I want to take a little step back from the science, just a little, although there will be some peppered within this video. And this is because I want you to understand the caveats and considerations to the products that you're using, because CBD oil is very popular right now and very profitable right now for many companies. So you want to make sure that you're getting a good quality and standardized CBD oil, but you also want to make sure that your CBD oil is legal, right? So that's a very important question to consider, and it's not a straightforward answer as you might think. So if you're new to my videos, welcome, and if you want to catch up on some of the latest videos that I just discussed in the series, there will be a link provided for you to go ahead and click on that and find the videos and find the articles linked to them for your information. But for right now, let's get into the legality of CBD oil, which is confusing indeed. And recently, you're probably aware that the Farm Bill was passed that legalized hemp, and many people then thought that this meant that CBD oil was legal. Not necessarily. Now, let me take a little bit of a step back here, because the division between federal and state laws actually makes the legality of cannabis and its constituents very hard to decipher, even for the most astute consumer and doctor. The FDA website is pretty stern regarding that it has authority on the regulation of CBD and THC. They listed it as a Schedule I drug, which means it has the highest potential for abuse with little or no scientific evidence, which we went into before in the last video regarding that it actually does have some FDA-approved therapeutic medicinal uses, which makes that statement a little confusing in scheduling. But that being put aside, the states have their own laws. So prior to the passage of the Farm Bill, which happened in December 2018, CBD oil was legal in the 30 states where medical and recreational marijuana is legal. Still holds. But pre-Farm Bill, it was very, very muddy, even muddier than it is now. Again, it was stated that THC is only legal in states where marijuana is legal. Hemp was legal, but to complicate matters, the legality of hemp technically had caveats, and there were rules and restrictions in each state and country for its cultivation, for its production, for its labeling. It had to contain less than 0.3% THC in the U.S., which is actually a little more strict than some of the standards in the European countries. And part of the plant that was permitted for extraction from hemp also had to be restricted and validated. And there was just a bunch of other issues for growers, for farmers, for producers that made the whole thing quite a bit of a headache. So when the Farm Bill got passed in 2018, now this bill actually had a lot of different components to it, but one of the big hooplas and media attention was the legalization of hemp. And many people were celebrating because the technical name for this Farm Bill is the Agricultural Improvement Act of 2018. What it did is it made the production and marketing of hemp a heck of a lot easier. It made it legal. It still has to contain less than 0.3% of this THC, which is the psychoactive component of marijuana that many people want to make sure that they're not ingesting to get high, or maybe people want to take marijuana for the THC. THC, it does have other benefits as well. But it's no longer an illegal substance under federal law. And it also removed hemp because hemp is a species of cannabis off the Schedule I Controlled Substance Act. So it was no longer considered a drug based on the part of the plant being used. And so it wasn't an illegal substance at all. But Congress did preserve its agency to regulate products containing cannabis or cannabis-derived compounds under now the FD&C Act of the Public Health Service. So they're still regulating it as an industrial product, and it's still a little bit murky as far as what is CBD, because CBD can be derived from marijuana. It can also be derived from hemp. So obviously if you're in a state that's using CBD oil derived from marijuana, or you're using that in a state where marijuana is not legal, it could be a little bit murky. Now, Scott Guttelbag, MD, gave the press statement. He was the FDA he's the FDA commissioner. He gave a full press statement that gave the details of hemp and CBD federal regulation. And in the article I wrote this week, I took a huge long excerpt on exactly the caveats between how food containing added CBD or THC into interstate commerce or marketing CBD or THC products is still considered illegal. So hemp is not illegal, but if you get a product in a state where marijuana and cannabis is not illegal, and even you have to consider federal authority. So in your state, it's not illegal. You have a CBD oil that contains hemp that says that it contains CBD oil extract. That's technically manufacturer faux pas. They're not supposed to do that, or you're not supposed to be shipping it into your state. They've actually issued warning letters in the past, and it's from the press statement. They said that they're going to continue to do this to companies illegally selling CBD products or making marketing claims. Now, that doesn't mean that the hemp extract that contains the CBD will contain the CBD oil, but it can't be marketed as such as of right now. But he does leave wiggle room in there for the FDA to consider whether there are circumstances in which certain cannabis-derived compounds may be permitted into food and dietary supplements. But they're generally prohibited to be introduced into in-between state commerce. And they also have to have generally recognized as safe status. So there's just a bunch of loopholes that still exist for CBD. So that's important to keep in mind. I also listed the warning letters that they had for the companies that had marketed CBD-derived products. So you can check that out on my website. But still, this is a win as far as for farmers and producers of hemp and getting the whole plant back into the consumer's hands for some of its therapeutic effects. Now, if you want to find out about the legality of cannabis and marijuana in your state to see if CBD is legal too, I also listed references in the accompanying article that you can check out. There's even a table that lists where medical marijuana and CBD oil is cannabis is legal, and by indications for states if it's medical or if it's recreational. So you want to check that out. But now that hemp is legal and CBD is everywhere, there are some other important things to consider besides its legality. And this is that we're basically in a weird Wild West time for CBD oil because the regulation, as I said, is very iffy. It's not straight out and succinct. So this leads us to issues in the manufacturer world, right? Because they see profit motive, they see popularity, which is where quality, standardization, and labeling integrity can fall with companies that aren't necessarily ethical and out for your best health interest. So I discussed on my site too, in an article, I give a link to a review study that looked at different brands of CBD oil to determine the difference between what was found in the label and what was actually in the bottle of CBD. And many cases, the analyzed cannabinoid content differed from what was claimed on the label. 7 samples didn't even have CBD or THC, even though it said it did. And this was found in homemade products as well as commercially obtained products. There's other issues too, just as I glance through the literature, and I'm sure I'll be highlighting them more when I talk about uses of CBD oil coming up. But many people are saying the therapeutic effect and the exact dosage still hasn't been decided upon for certain conditions especially, and that there's a U-shaped curve for efficacy and absorption rate. So what this means is there's a certain dosage where it's the most effective and it has a therapeutic effect. It's kind of like the Goldilocks, not too hot, not too cold, just right. And this means too much or too little could produce no effect. It could produce an effect you don't like. It could, who knows? So that's important to consider too. And then there's the entourage effect of cannabis. And isn't that a fun word, the entourage effect? And what that just means is that the whole plant is better than the sum of its parts for a lot of people when they do studies, right? So CBD is an isolate of a compound. So we know about isolates if you followed me with essential oils, right? It would be like taking a constituent from an essential oil and using that as an extract. That's fine, but it isn't necessarily getting all the compounds and components in synergistic action that balances out of the plant. So you won't have the whole effect of the plant. So now cannabis actually does contain essential oils. They're mostly terpenes, and there's components that are cannabidides. I can't say it. Said it good before. There's my tongue twister. In the essential oils, probably heard of beta-carotene, which is found in copaiba, black pepper, some other essential oils. These actually have been found to modulate the endocannabinoid system as well, and those are in part of the plant, which makes you realize that the plant actually as a whole has a synergy in it, right? So the effects could be balanced out. It might be better to get the whole plant, and they've even found that keeping in a little THC in studies balanced out the mood effects, and also, you know, reversing that, strict THC when it was balanced with CBD had less of the psychoactive negative memory effects in some studies, which I talked about in the last video. So there you have it. There's a bunch of things to consider if you're going to jump on the CBD oil bandwagon, including your individual biochemistry. Don't just do something because everybody else is doing it and it's the hot thing at the moment, right? We want to make sure that it fits in with our body. That's where a good functional medicine and naturopathic doctor can come in if you're confused. Now, one other thing I want to cover, because I know this video is getting a little long in the tooth here, is CBD oil and essential oil. Well, I just said that cannabis contains essential oils. So CBD oil that you're buying, it might not be the essential oil of cannabis. How do you know? Check the extraction method, okay? And the answer actually depends on which expert you asked. Some experts say that most of the cannabis CBD oil available in the United States is extracted from the fatty oil extraction, which isn't technically the essential oil, right? It's containing the CBD oil constituent. However, according to Robert Tisserand, who's an internationally respected and esteemed essential oil expert, there is a steam distilled CBD essential oil available in Canada, Switzerland, and France. I couldn't verify it with the sources he listed, but he's pretty reliable. And it's possible, right, to derive essential oils from cannabis. So, in closing, hemp is legal, and it's under federal law with CBD still. So it's murky. So we have to consider all of these different considerations. And you as a consumer needs to be aware. So I hope that the series is helping you. And in the upcoming articles in the CBD series, I'm going to go through some of the fun stuff where I review the clinical trials and all that other stuff. I thought this was fun too. I hope you did. And I hope everybody is having a great day. I want to thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you again. Make sure you list your comments and any feedback that you have for the video on my blog site or on YouTube, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye.